What is good, boys? My name is Famuel. If you enjoy the content, I am live on Twitch every single day. Now enjoy the video. Hi YouTube! Today we are reacting to what dying on every planet would be like. I'm actually very big into space. I think space is super awesome. If I wasn't trying to be a streamer, I'd be an astronaut. Maybe. I'm not very good at maths. But! Welcome to the video. Lock in chat. This is going to be a banger video. I already know.
Mercury. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, but if you think that means it's hot all the time, you're wrong. At night, temperatures can plummet to an icy minus 180 degrees Celsius. During the day, however, they can skyrocket to 430 degrees Celsius. This extreme imbalance happens because Mercury doesn't have a proper atmosphere to regulate temperature. Instead, it has a very thin exosphere, which doesn't maintain heat. While apart from temperature, you wouldn't have to worry about weather on Mercury, the real dangers come from solar radiation and the lack of breathable air. In fact, Mercury gets almost 7 times the solar irradiance that Earth receives. As the smallest planet in the solar system, Mercury is full of craters, cliffs, and bumpy terrain, making it a pretty tough place to land as well. The low air resistance doesn't help either. It would make slowing down a spaceship much harder, increasing the chances of a high-speed crash. Landing during the daytime is out of the question because of the extreme heat. The latest NASA spacesuits can only handle up to 121 degrees Celsius. Nowhere near Mercury.
I'm not going to pause the video much, but do you seriously think, like, maybe not in my lifetime or anyone on the planet, but like in hundreds or maybe like thousands or maybe even 10,000s of years, if humans still exist, do you think we're like going to these planets? I know you can't live with them because the atmosphere and there's no oxygen and they're too hot or too cold, but like maybe if we could go far enough, like in the Milky Way, and we can then find planets that could be potential habitable, or like, I don't know, this might sound stupid, but maybe it's possible to go on holiday to Mars, maybe, in thousands of years. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Mars for a holiday? That sounds sick.
Mercury's daytime temperatures of 430 degrees Celsius. Plus, keep in mind that Mercury's day lasts about half a year due to its slow rotation. Nighttime isn't much better. Temperatures of minus 180 degrees Celsius far exceed NASA suit's lower limit of minus 157 degrees Celsius, so you'd still freeze. Your best bet would be to try landing in the Terminator zone, the area between day and night where temperatures are more moderate. Even there, however, it can be risky, as temperatures can change relatively quickly. Venus. Venus is the closest planet to Earth, sitting just 40 million kilometers away. This means the journey there would be relatively short, about 4 months. Its size and gravity wouldn't pose much of a problem, as they're pretty similar to Earth.
That's kind of crazy.
The first real issue you'd face, though, would be those beautiful yellow clouds you'd see as you approached the surface.
But seriously, chat, imagine like actually 4 months is not even that much. Like traveling to a planet, that's not even that much. But imagine like on some Star Wars type thing. Like imagine like you're chilling and you're like in your spaceship and you just genuinely just see another planet in front of you. Imagine how like surreal that would be.
Are made of sulfuric acid, a highly corrosive substance that would destroy your lungs in seconds. But let's assume you've got a spacesuit advanced enough to filter it out. As you descend to the surface, you'd notice visibility dropping drastically. The atmosphere becomes incredibly thick, made mostly of carbon dioxide, so you wouldn't be able to see much. Then there's the heat, an unbearable 450 degrees Celsius. If that wasn't enough, only about 10% of the sunlight reaches the surface, as it's blocked by the thick atmosphere, so it'd be pretty dark. On the surface, moving your arms and legs would be a serious struggle. Even though gravity is nearly the same as on Earth, the air is so dense you'd feel like you're wading through a heavy liquid. With a good pressurized suit, you might last a few seconds down there, but before long, the pressure, about 92 bars compared to Earth's 1 bar at sea level, would crush your suit. And if that didn't kill you, the sulfuric acid you'd start breathing once your suit broke definitely would. Mars. Mars is the second closest planet to Earth and the most habitable of all 8 planets. Daytime temperatures are much less.
Banger movie on Martian. Yeah, if you guys are into space and stuff, you'll watch that movie. That is straight peak.
Extreme compared to Mercury and Venus, reaching up to a relatively comfortable 20 degrees Celsius. However, the real to Mercury and the most habitable of all 8 planets. Daytime temperatures are much less extreme compared to Mercury and Venus, reaching up to a relatively comfortable 20 degrees Celsius. However, the real challenge comes at night, or or in certain parts of the planet, where temperatures can drop as low as minus 153 degrees Celsius. Another big issue,
Bro, how does it go
similar to
from that?
Mercury, is Mars's incredibly thin atmosphere. It's mostly made up of carbon dioxide, with only trace amounts of oxygen, meaning there's not that much breathable air. This thin atmosphere also results in low pressure and high levels of radiation exposure, both of which are incredibly dangerous. The average natural radiation level on Mars is 24 to 30 rads, which is about 40 to 50 times the average on Earth. On top of that, Mars experiences frequent and extremely violent dust storms, with
Yeah.
wind speeds reaching up to 100 kilometers per hour. These storms could pose serious challenges, so any attempt at habitation would require a sustainable, airtight, and well-insulated life support system. Jupiter. Jupiter is the
Because,
biggest planet.
I mean, they've got rovers on Mars, which is crazy. Like, that is so cool to think about. The fact that there's literally, like, human tech on another planet is... That's, like, actually mind-boggling. Oh, yo. Only 20 degrees Celsius? That's literally... That's UK. That's, like, Earth temperatures. But how does it go from 20 degrees to 150 in the space of, like, 24 hours? How is that even possible?
Out of the 8, and it's one of the hardest planets to land on, primarily because of its extreme radiation levels. Even 300,000 kilometers away, the radiation would start penetrating your suit and you'd be done for. But since that's a boring outcome, let's assume you have a hypothetical suit that can block the radiation. Jupiter's gravity is 2.4 times stronger than Earth's, meaning you'd be falling incredibly fast. As you enter the first layers of the
Love Roblox? Earn Roblox.
Ooh, Roblox streams. People are saying I should run those.
atmosphere, you'd encounter white clouds made of frozen ammonia crystals with temperatures around minus 150 degrees Celsius. The winds here are no joke, reaching insane speeds of up to 482 kilometers per hour. If you manage to descend about 150 kilometers through these top layers, you'd reach the deepest point ever explored. This is how far NASA's Galileo probe got back in 1995. Beyond this point, things start getting darker, and both temperature and pressure increase rapidly. Just as a fun fact, the pressure near Jupiter's center is estimated to be about 100 million times Earth's atmospheric pressure. After hours of falling, you might reach Jupiter's inner layers, where you'd encounter a supercritical fluid, a state that's not quite liquid but not gas either. Here, you'd kind of be swimming in this bizarre substance. If you continued further toward the center, you'd encounter metallic hydrogen, an extremely dense liquid that would trap you. But if you somehow managed to get through that, you'd reach Jupiter's core, though we're not entirely sure if it's solid or not. The temperatures here would be about 24,000 degrees Celsius, roughly 4.5 times hotter than the sun's surface. Saturn. Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system, with an atmosphere primarily made of hydrogen and helium. The first challenge would be avoiding a crash with one of its 146 orbiting moons. Once you manage that, you'd encounter its iconic rings, which are made of debris from old moons, ice pellets, comets, and asteroids. Let's assume you're either
You ain't getting on. You ain't even getting to the planet. I'm gonna be honest. You gotta pull some like Han Solo type movement,
or your spaceship
to get
is
through that.
indestructible, so you don't meet your end by smashing into space junk. As you approach Saturn's equator, you'd witness an incredible spectacle of red and purple auras caused by highly energetic hydrogen in the atmosphere. However, this beauty comes with a catch. Hurricane-force winds blasting at speeds of around 1,800 kilometers per hour would make it nearly impossible to stay steady. Trying to enter from the North Pole wouldn't be any better. Up there, you'd face a massive storm so large you could fit 2 Earths inside it. This region also has ammonia clouds, similar to Jupiter's, and temperatures that can plummet to a bone-chilling minus 250 degrees Celsius. As you fall deeper through the layers of clouds, the temperatures would start to rise again, eventually reaching 0 degrees Celsius. At this point, while the cold becomes less of an issue, pressure becomes your biggest enemy. It increases to levels comparable to the deepest parts of Earth's oceans. Continuing further, the gases around you would transition into a liquid state. If you somehow survived long enough to reach the center of Saturn, you'd encounter its molten rocky core, which is about 10 times the size of Earth. Temperatures here reach a scorching 11,700 degrees Celsius,
You
more
can't
than
even
twice
like
as hot as
imagine
the
that.
sun's surface, with pressure roughly 1,000 times greater than Earth's. Uranus. This is where planets start getting really far from Earth, making the journey incredibly long. Uranus is one of the 2 ice giants and the only planet in the solar system that spins on its side. It also rotates faster than Earth, with a day lasting just 17 Earth hours.
I want to know how far. Wait, let me search it up. I want to know how long it would take from every planet. Wait, look at this chat. Because realistically, 3 days, 4 to 7 years. And what is this? Are these like going at like the max speeds we can do at like our current technology? Yeah, okay. So the really only two ones which are valid is Venus and Mars. Because let's be honest, 12 years? You ain't going... 12 years is crazy. But, yo, that is wild to think you can actually visibly see another planet in 3 to 5 months. Chat, do you think there'll be anyone? Because obviously you can fly in space. Do you think there'll be like a human or like some multi billionaire who's like, you know what, I'm gonna visit Mars. I'm gonna visit Venus. Obviously, I'm not gonna go anywhere near it, but I'm gonna go close enough where I can see it. I can visibly see the planet. Obviously, I'm not gonna go onto it because I might get burnt to a crisp. But surely there is gonna be some stupid billionaire. You know those people in the oh, what's it called? You know the thing that imploded down below in the like Atlantic. See the Titanic. Surely there'll be some billionaire who decides to go and like get a view of a planet. Like surely.
Being an ice giant doesn't mean the planet is a solid ball of ice. Instead, it means it's primarily composed of elements heavier than hydrogen and helium. Like Saturn, you'd need to avoid crashing into its rings. Once you pass them, you'd find yourself surrounded by toxic gas, and the temperature would drop rapidly to below minus 200 degrees Celsius. This makes it the coldest planet in the solar system. If the freezing cold and poisonous atmosphere didn't get you, you'd descend through the first layer of the atmosphere. Here, things get even worse. The air becomes dense, and you'd be pelted by ice pellets. Eventually, you'd reach something truly spectacular, a rain of diamonds, driven by winds of up to 900 kilometers per hour. But once
Diamond rains. You may bank.
again, there's a catch. The pressure here is about 100 times greater than Earth's, which would ultimately crush you. Neptune. Neptune is the second ice giant after Uranus, and its composition is very similar. Being the farthest planet from the Sun, 30 times farther than Earth, it's incredibly dark. Like Uranus, Neptune is extremely cold in its outer layers, but the inner layers are intensely hot due to immense pressure and heat from its core. Matter of fact, its core is about 7,000 degrees Celsius, which is hotter than the Sun's surface. It also experiences the famous diamond rain, caused by high pressure breaking down methane and forming solid diamonds. Neptune's winds are among the strongest in the solar system, reaching supersonic speeds. In many ways, it's basically a twin of Uranus, so there isn't much to add. If you liked this video, subscribe.
Hey, W video in the chat. That was actually mad interesting. This is sort of stuff they should teach you in schools. Like seriously, I learned a lot from that. Anyway, YouTube, I appreciate you guys watching the stream. I stream every single day on Twitch, both 8 o'clock in the evening UK time and 10 o'clock in the morning UK time. Peace out. I love you all.